Mason and Athalor, swept up along in the fey magic of this party, said something particularly heinous about the professor who just dropped a pop quiz on them. Something incredibly insulting and a little bit louder than you intended.
Cancelled.
About Mason and Athalor, Keo doesn't read. What level spell is Twit longer?
Let's say Mia Hethil, because he's right in the middle of 3-player characters. So, you know, him in particular.
I take it the burning didn't kill it.
Yeah, roll 1d10, but it's fire resistant, so. Bonk.
Where is Mr. Reaction with a ward guy?
He used it. That shit's gone.
Oh, gone for
Bonk.
forever?
Well, until his next long range. A long rest.
La 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 la. La la la.
Don't need no wards. We're dealing with these fucking idiots.
That should be one of your sub sounds on your channel.
That should be. Really should be.
Well, so much for my terrifying monster. Guess I'll just, you know, die.
Pulls pin, throws pin.
4 seekers, and magic dampens sound in these quarters, quieting boisterous visitors and heavy snoring.
And other things. I mean,
And other
we're all
things.
thinking it.
Are we though? Are
Yeah.
we?
These cheeks don't clap themselves. Just saying.
Colonel, I'm trying to sneak around, baby. But I'm dummy thick. The clap of my ass cheeks keeps alerting the guards. All right. So do you guys just want to spend the night and then get breakfast and do this thing?
Please,
Yeah,
God,
let's go.
yes.
Yeah.
Release me from this hell.
The last thing that guy said before I ate him was James. I swear to God, I don't know what's going on.
Ooh.
Rosebud. Thank you, Lux Lightly. Wonderful. Oh, fuck me running.
Waves the crypto boy's body. This one yours?
I'm Fiat.
Yeah, this is the crypto boy.
Yes, that one's ours. You can just go ahead and leave him there.
Oh, okay. Drops him.
Also, disclaimer, chat. Also, not dead.
So do I see both Crystal Pirate and Artificer?
Yes, and 4 ninjas.
Which one of you two is more important? Or who's the boss?
Crystal
Hey, who's
Pirate-
the biggest bully at school? Which one of you is it?
Crystal Pirate like
Here.
floats.
into my
He's,
secret base.
he's standing on
punch
this
my
like little
biggest-
crystal thing, and he's just floating there, looking at you with all these colorful crystals floating around him.
I guess I'm the majority share owner, so that would be me.
Alright, I attack whoever said that. Who said that? The voices.
Voices. Uh-oh. That's porked.
Oh yeah, they can't hear you. They can hear us though.
Shortest troubleshooting call I've ever had.
You hear that? Doo-doo-doo.
Audio issues. Yippee.
A Windows update happened, I imagine. The most dangerous thing to any audio chain.
To the completely, absolutely, very normal showtime that we have for you today. I'm Tormented by Gnomes. This is Book of Dawn, Ioth Academy.
Leg Day's dead. Oh, he's here.
Yeah, Leg Day's always dead. I don't know why. I think it's his Britishness.
Yeah.
I think it's your
My
Britishness.
camera feed's got to make it through the Brexit customs controls. It takes a bit.
Exactly. The red tape is unbelievable. But yeah, Tormented by Gnomes, Crowin, Leg Day, and Lemon Kiwi here to bring you episode 148 of our short 8-episode miniseries about kids in magical school doing war crimes. Crowin, how's it going?
Path of Exile 2. That's it. Send the tweet.
Oh yeah, what's your class? I've been wanting to get into it.
Playing Infernalist Witch, and it is pretty fun. Having a good time.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I turn into a demon. I dash around everywhere. It's pretty great.
Are you gonna be no-lifing that, Lemon? Is that your kryptonite?
I just like to min-max, so I like to like research classes, but then it just got released, so there's nothing out there, and it's just like you spend more time like building your character than actually playing. It's like the whole D&D experience. So
yeah, it's like modding Skyrim, where you spend 20 hours getting it stable, and then you forget about it. Legs, how are things?
I am also looking forward to Path of Exile 2. I'll probably leave it on the shelf for a month before I lose my life to it, just because at the moment Marvel Rivals is pretty fun. I'm the opposite. I never look up a character guide. In Diablo, I always like to just like go in blind and I'll figure it out as I go, and I inevitably end up with an incredibly terrible character.
When I played Diablo 2, and I played a little bit of Diablo 3, I was a story nut. So I would just like play through the story and then stop, which is not the gameplay loop for those games at all.
Yeah. You just got like the first 10% of a game, you're like, ah, it's done.
Yeah, I completed the story. What'll I do now?
Moving on with your life after a video game? Incorrect consumption.
I have like 1,200 hours in Factorial, all right? It's just different strokes for different folks, that's all. Lemon, what's going on?
Just got back from LA, so
Yeah, how
a little
was it?
sleepy. It was cool. Rice Studios built differently. They have a smoothie bar, and that was like peak.
We never had a smoothie bar at Bala.
Oh, I just had like 500 smoothies, so that was great. I'm all
Excellent.
smoothied out though. I'm over
Oh, sad.
it. Excited for D&D though. I also forgot what happened.
Yeah, thank you everyone for this makeup episode, since I suffered from old-itis earlier this week. But I'm now cured. I am no longer old, and I'm sure that will never happen ever again. So, to bring everyone up to speed, last time and the time before, you went with the sage into the realm of dream because she had sensed some sort of terrible psychic disturbance emanating from the elven kingdom of Nenri. Nenri is in league with Athalor's father Hadarai and his uncle Lamriel, who has been turned into an Ulitharid, a mind flayer abomination. Upon entering Dream and finding these beleaguered minds, you discovered that the refugees who were escaping from war and being welcomed into Nenri were being placed into a trance, and their mental energy was being harnessed and directed not outward towards the darkness, towards the one flesh, Lamriel's master that he seeks to bring here to Anakra to feast upon the blood of the earth, but inward into a sealed door at the very heart of Nenri. You broke through that door and discovered inside the lost mind of Dobakai, one of Ioth's companions, one of the original elves, a survivor of the dawn and a child of Luminius. Upon discovering this secret, though you did not know what Lamriel and Hadarai intended by directing all this psychic energy, what were they trying to do with Doakai's mind? What were they planning with all this power? The sage made the decision to destroy the mind of her old friend, one of the only people who truly understands her life experience, to prevent Hadarai and Lamriel and King Estelar from accomplishing whatever nefarious ends they had in mind. After destroying the mind of Doakai, you returned to the academy. There you had some time to spend amongst yourselves, with your friends, with your loved ones, practicing your magic, studying Elven High Magic, the art that you hope to use against the enemies of the academy. Garnet sought out Priest King Pothinus and her mother Marison, the general of Brontha, and asked for permission to attend council meetings so that she can start taking a bigger hand in what's going on the world stage, as her life and her loved ones are all threatened by the encroaching war, the war of the sun that is raging all around us. We also learned that even before Mason's girlfriend and the leader of the Kizjan, Sventisco, had written a letter to her homeland, the dragon tribe of Bathotlo, asking for their help stopping the Sinister Horde from their rampage, they had already dispatched assassins, and the dreaded warlord of their army, Igor, has been killed. Though the army is still on the march without his leadership, they will absolutely be a less effective fighting force. But unfortunately, that does not mean that they have stopped. The Dune Riders managed to withdraw their people and evacuate them after a barely successful battle against the forces of Defraxis. But the Sinister Horde is continuing their march across the desert sands, and they will be there soon. And now our heroes are preparing to find a way to stop this army that has not suffered a single defeat in combat, and the terrible possessed monsters that march at its head. Any questions?
That seems good.
Nope.
Okay.
Hunky dory.
Everything is fine. This is fine. All right. As we revisit our heroes. Amidst the studies that you're partaking, the magical experiments that you're conducting, you receive word that the Sinister Horde's army will be at the Dune Riders' capital. Again, they moved it in 4 days.
At the new capital or the old one?
The new capital. And they're kind of backed into a corner. They can evacuate people to Ioth Academy and to Brontha, like those two realms had discussed. They both agreed to accept evacuated refugees, but there's nowhere else left for them to run. So a decision has to be made. Are we going to try to stop them here? And if so, what is everyone willing to risk? If Ioth Academy commits their army and they're defeated, there's nothing stopping them from being completely surrounded by the enemy. There's nothing stopping the enemy from rampaging through the refugee city of Gildenverge, built around the feet of the golden sphere of the academy.
Because the sphere isn't going to stop shit, is what you're telling me.
No, not necessarily. An army should not be able to march through it. But Gildenverge is outside the sphere. And if an army surrounds the sphere and controls it for that long, they should be able to bring in people with magic and stuff to start trying to mess with it. Whether or not they'll succeed is a different matter. But even if the academy still survives, it would be bad for them to be surrounded with no army. That would be a suboptimal situation. The higher-ups are currently discussing what to do. But Elnau already revealed to the party that she is planning a devastating void spell designed to deal massive damage, a killing blow to the enemy army. And the three of you have inserted yourself into her business as usual, which that's basically the title of every episode. You've also been studying high magic with Elozrin. It is the Feast of Leveron, the Titan of rain and precipitation and storms. And the enemy will be there in 4 days. I have directions, I have scenes, I have things to pop up for you, but before I do that, I want to check in with any of you to see if there's any specific people you want to talk to, actions you want to take.
Could we talk to Elozrin? Just pitching an idea here about using high level magic to somehow get everyone to reinforce the sphere. Like if we were to be attacked, is there a way for all the students to like help channel, like give a spell slot or like give their power so someone could help like strengthen or maybe maintain the dome?
So the basic students will not be able to do that in a meaningful way.
Oh, you can't just contribute power without knowing the actual spell.
Right. You have to be tapped into the spell in order to contribute power. He'll look into alternatives and see if, is there any way for Babby students to contribute power to the sphere? He'll look into it.
Spitballing here, their best opportunity might be learning something like Eagle Splendor as a spell to give advantage on Arcana checks to people who are able to contribute.
Yeah, buffs and stuff. But it is good to see if there's some way for them to just spam spell slots and then have somebody use that in a productive way. He'll look into that. He'll see what he can figure out about that. Elnau will consider it, but she can't focus on that and her weapon of mass destruction spell at the same time. She has to pick one or the other.
Is Elozrin able to study that? Because he seems to know the intricacies. I don't know if that counts as like an academy resource, but
nope, it's just Elozrin.
It's just Elozrin.
It's not like the whole staff, you know. It's not like huge departments dedicating themselves to this.
He's our resource.
So yeah, he'll look into that. He'll see if there's anything he can figure out. Otherwise, you have to at least be able to cast that spell, which is a 3rd level spell, in order to participate.
Gotcha.
Time for Elozrin to teach the high magic class.
All right, everyone. Cool. Quick crash course on this.
You have
That's
more
some
than
of the
4
most
days for
dangerous
that.
Magic.
Because if they blow through there, they're not going to be able to immediately arrive, but it'll take them like a week, maybe a little more than a week from there, if they choose to attack the academy.
Hmm.
The real question is, like, do we do a death or glory now to stop them? Or do we kind of see what we can do, but be willing to let the Dune Riders take the fall and make our last stand at our home? That's kind of the debate going back and forth amongst the Muin Tiori, the leading council of the academy right now.
Mm-hmm. Is there
Well,
any
now.
insight in the
Go ahead.
meetings as to whether it's a particularly defensible position?
Roll history check. Advantage if you're in or if you took Untermaller's war class.
Definitely did that.
17.
17. Ah, no guidance myself. Why not see if I can hit that breakpoint? I can't.
Not particularly. It's
Hmm.
they did not evacuate here because it was the best choice. They evacuated here because it was the only choice that they could effectively make. Their other routes were cut off. There
Were they
is
followed, or is it suspicious that this new hideout was or were they even hiding?
no, it's not a hideout. There's thousands of people on the move. Like
Okay.
they couldn't
So
hide
they were just
that.
followed kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they were able to
That's out
escape.
on the horizon looking ass.
Mhm. Exactly. It saved them once, but they're kind of out of that option. There is a Bathotlo stronghold. This is a unique place because it's on the borders of Brontha, Bathotlo, and Ioth Academy. It's kind of a place where all three of these realms meet. There is a Bathotlo fortress to the north that could send reinforcements. But, as Sventisco would pass along to you, it is being held by rebels who are members of the Eluitolel, the faithful, the cult that Kepesk was a part of. They've seized control of that stronghold. And so there won't be any help coming from that direction.
Assholes.
Mm-hmm. Untermaler is very focused on all of these. He's like taking measure, how many forces do we have? Are there any reinforcements we can get from anyone else? How much magic do we have and all that stuff? Elnau is like, hey kids, you want to build a nuke?
Hell
Yes,
yeah.
mommy.
Here's the problem. She is not the most powerful spellcaster at the academy.
Gasp.
The sage is.
Oh, not Garnet.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was kidding.
Elnau can't cast 9th level spells. Void Rift, which is the seed spell that we're using for this destructive ritual, is a 9th level spell. She can cast it from the Book of Seosh. But in order to manipulate a spell, the high magic field has to be equal to that level of the spell. So if Garnet opened up a high magic field, it would be a level 5. No, it could be a level 4 field, but you would only be able to manipulate spells up to 4th level. So the sage has to cast, is the only person at the academy who is powerful enough to create the induction field. Once she's done that, the rest of you can join it and I'll contribute to it. But Elnau seems somewhat irritated because the sage is not enthusiastic about wielding the power of the void on this scale. There are risks, there are possible consequences that we may not understand. So she is hesitant, reluctant, not currently willing to indulge in this.
And an unmodified Void Rift is not of a power level that we need.
Right. It's still very, very strong, but it hits like a 80-foot, 100-foot section of the battlefield, and the battlefield is going to be like half a mile wide. Give or take.
Is there like a particular specific risk that the sage is thinking about? I know like Void is fucky and all, but like is there a particular thing?
Void
eats at the very substance of reality. Unlike everything else, what it destroys, it does not return. It is detrimental to the cycle. Using this much of it could leave cracks in the world. It could threaten the integrity of the firmament. It could permanently dampen the light in a way that it can never truly be recovered. Accelerate the death of an Anakra. And little bits and pieces of it, she's of the opinion that every use of void magic dims the light of the world slightly. So she's not a fan of it at all. But little bits and pieces, little cuts here and there, that's one thing. Channeling an incredible amount of power on a battlefield like this, that's another.
So why can't she just do the circle and I cast a spell?
Because it's still a nine. Well, the sage
Like
doesn't
Elnau
want
do
to. Elnau can't do the circle. If Elnau does a circle, it won't be 9th level, and it won't be able to affect the Void Rift.
She can't do 9th level?
Mm-hmm.
What a bum.
I think the only person at the school right now. There's a reason you're always dragging the sage in whenever you need to cast Gate. You know what I mean? Like, Ioth was able to do it. With Ioth gone, the sage is the only one who's that powerful.
Yeah.
That's an issue. Are there, just for Sage, have any other suggestions for amplified level spells that don't tear holes in an Anakra?
Well, what do you got?
I don't currently have. I mean, I could do some research, but in case the Sage has anything
what
in mind.
spells can you cast?
Oh. What I can cast probably doesn't just the a big ass meteor shower, but I don't think that'll.
What level spell is that?
That's a level 4 spell, so.
Okay. It's just a matter of how much juice you give it.
Yeah, I don't think things that are on my spell list would really classify under the weapons of mass. It's more of a bush weapons of mass destruction than a true weapons of mass destruction.
So what's? Were you saying something, Lemon?
Oh, I had another idea, but I'll let you guys finish yours.
When you do the meteors, how long does it last? You can just keep dropping moon rocks, right?
Yeah, I believe for a minute. Yeah, up to a minute.
Okay. So if you empowered this spell, let's say that you increased the damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You increase the damage once, it lasts for the whole spell, the whole minute of the spell. So that's like 10 bombs. If you supercharge this, let's say that you cast this spell and people increase the area of effect, the range, the duration, and the damage. Now you have 10 cruise missiles. Maybe they're not nukes, but that's still all those boosts, and you just bam, bam. And if they extend the duration of the spell, you get more of them. So that you just need to throw enough juice into that, and that could still be viable. Lemon,
And I
what
don't
was
necessarily need a 9th level person to do that.
You don't. And the sage would be willing to do that because it's not going to be eating holes in reality. So you could get 9th level and just juice it the hell up. Lemon, what was your idea?
What if we opened up a giant shadow gateway under the army and just sent them all to the shadow realm?
Do you need to physically draw that? Can you just pop one of those open if you've got like a higher level spell slot?
If you knew where they were going, you could just pre-draw it as like a
paste the spell. Paste the spell.
Like a pitfall trap.
Yeah, literally.
You activated my trap card.
It's literally you've activated my trap card.
Okay, let's hold on. Let's look at this. All right. So this is a level 5 spell, which means that to modify it, the starting DC of anyone who wants to modify it is DC 15. I think I did this for both Athalor and Mason. I added a skill to your character sheet under your other skills called Spellcraft. That's just Arcana, but with your spellcasting modifier instead of your intelligence.
Mm.
I didn't give one. I didn't give you that, Garnet, because your spellcasting modifier is intelligence, so you can just use your arcana. We don't need to tweak with that. Okay, so the base to modify this is DC 15. Let's see how big we could make it.
Because like Lurkalike could join in too.
Lurkalike could join in.
But she'd be so fucking down too.
Oh, 100%. Banish all these people to the shadow.
Lurkalike can cast?
Let me pull her up.
And the capacity of things to like leave the Shadow Realm once they're there is predicated on being able to create one of these gateways, right?
Or find a natural crossing point.
So their route back is incredibly complicated.
And dangerous. The Shadow Realm is not a happy place. All right. Lurkalike.
You had it all wrong.
NPCs. She's under the extraplanar category. There she is. She can do level 6 spells.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought she was stronger than that.
She's,
I guess she's no Archmage.
Garnet's learning that all of her heroes are a little bit weaker than anticipated.
Little mid, little
there's
mid.
there's only one Ioth, all right? And there was like almost all the survivors, the companions are like gone. And they are
one, sadly.
Yeah, -1 more. All right, let's run some quick maths. So the area of effect is a 15-foot diameter. So it's 15 feet across. When you use the expand or contract incantation, you expand the area of effect by its original area per spell level slot spent. So you spend a second level spell and you double the size of it. So it goes to
Damn.
30 feet.
Yeah, you can make that pretty big pretty quick. How big is their army? Like girth size?
Yeah, can I get a girth unit?
Yeah, what's wide? How wide people are they?
Roll for girth. Let me just figure out. So on the battlefield, 1 square is 50 feet.
Oh, shit.
So I just need to see what the size of the battlefield is. I don't know if your intel reports are going to immediately tell you like how many squares they are, but I can look at the size of the battlefield because if you can encapsulate the whole battlefield, you're probably fine.
But also, even if we can't, like, if Garnet can make one big enough to just take out like a center column of their army, and their forces split in two, then
that's it. That's enough.
Easy ganks.
You can do defeat in
jungle
detail
gank.
after that. Right, so the size of the battlefield from the last battle that we had was about 2,500 feet across.
That's a couple of 15s.
Yeah. So Garnet, what's your you have a DC? You know what? There's
16.
There's a mathematical way to do this. If it's 15 feet
spells.
Yeah, if it's 15 feet across, let's do 2,500 divided by 15. It's like 166. That would probably be too powerful. That would probably not work because every time somebody buffs the spellcraft DC gets higher. So if Lurkalike casts Shadow Gateway and Garnet imbued it with a level 4 spell, Garnet would need to make a DC 15 spellcraft check.
Oh, easy.
Then, if Mason wanted to blow it up with a level 4, Mason would have to make a DC 19 check. And if he succeeds, and then Athalor wants to blow it up with a level 4, Athalor would have to make a DC 23 Arcana check. Spellcraft check.
We always get Garnet to do the last one.
Yeah.
With the +11.
And we can do another high magic thing for a circle to buff everybody up beforehand, so we can.
Yep, you could literally do that. Once you
What
get the
about
field
like
up,
casting two separate ones? So Lurkalike casts a Shadowgate, I cast a Shadowgate, and then people double it, and then it's an easier thing, and we have 2 places we can place it at.
The other thing is people who are part of the field can use a spell slot. No, they don't even have to use a spell slot. They can use their actions to boost somebody else's spellcraft with the support induction. The way this would work would be if Garnet cast a spell and had to hit like a DC 30. And Mason and Athalor both used the support action. Mason, what's your charisma modifier? 5?
Yep.
You would add
Same.
plus 10 to your check, Garnet.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Or plus 21 on the roll overall.
So
That's
if you
insane.
get more people involved, they may not be contributing power, but they can just sort of like buff that thing.
We have 3 luck die, like Day and I, so like
And
you
the
gotta
other thing
hit
is-
it,
now
right?
too on this
Also-
third
Oh,
Oh,
character.
do you have
wrong.
luck too?
I do, yep.
Third time
Oh,
around to
yeah.
send the gift for lucky.
Yeah. I was too tired of not being lucky, I decided to be lucky instead.
Yeah, the Gamma guy has to be lucky. So.
True.
And that support action, that's not always charisma, right? That's just primary spellcaster modifier.
That's spellcasting modifier, yes.
Okay, so presumably even like an academy battle mage could do that.
If they have to be able to cast the induction spell. They have to be able to join the field. Only
Gotcha.
participants in the field can do that. You can have somebody who's not a member of the field cast the triggering spell that you're all focusing on. But anyone who's going to fuck with the spell has to be joined into the field.
Fold that ass. Can a Lozern actually teach a lecture about this and get like a fuck ton of students to learn that within like a week or something?
I mean, all wizard students should be able to learn it.
No one knows the Lozern's here still, right? They're still.
They don't. That's correct.
Yeah,
like-
but we also have blackmail on Nenri now if they try and get him back. Like, yo,
True.
we know what
Okay,
happened with the
fair.
refugees, bitch.
Yeah, and he'll
Yeah.
obviously pick our side. Like, hey, bro, we go lecture at the greatest school ever.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
That's,
He'd be
that's
100%.
like
he could just
20% less
zoom-
boring.
He could also just like Zoom call as like with a potato skin, you know, or just look different. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's easy.
Yeah, well, maybe a disguise might be. Maybe we just low magic this one. Just give him a fake mustache.
I mean, honestly, if this is an existential threat and you could justify him coming out of hiding and just being like, fuck you, dad. Like you said, you know they're up to some shenanigans. It's very likely that the other refuges would back you in this. Andrewd obviously would. Lasser would be the only question. All right, so I'm checking something real quick. The only people who would be able to participate in this, they'd have to be 6th year or higher, or lower years who survived a lot of the bullshit you survived and leveled up early.
So these go.
So yeah, all the students, any community student who could probably participate, and then any student who's year 6 or higher. So you could get a fuckload of people involved in this. The thing is, they'd all have to deploy to the battlefield.
But they could be within the dome to like do stuff, right? They could be safe.
They couldn't be in the sphere if you're taking this fight at the Dune Riders capital, which is
Oh well,
200
you
miles
know.
away or so.
We don't need them for that. More like
Okay.
if we lose and we need
As a
to
fallback. Yeah.
fall back. But unless we think we need more people, but I don't know what the vibes are.
We might need a couple of people to push those support spells if we're going to go for the Shadow Gateway, which actually I quite like.
The trap
Right.
card.
So the other thing about the Shadow Gateway is that you have to physically draw it.
Yeah.
So if you're making it like huge, you have to physically draw the whole thing.
Is there a way
which
to
is
draw
why
like
it's good we have
multiple?
4 days.
Is it possible to draw multiple and activate only the ones that are like triggered or that we choose to trigger?
No, drawing it is part of the casting. Because you draw and you chant as you draw it.
So it's not, you can't have like a delayed activation anyway.
You could have a delayed activation on it, but that's another thing you'd have to throw into the high magic field. So that would add a layer of complexity.
Question regarding
Yes.
Shadow Gateway and casting time. Is there a way that Garnet could pre-draw a large amount of the circle with the induction field active and then finish it at the last moment, like like
So I was thinking
getting-
too, like the last little line or the last squiggle, and
This is
activate.
giving Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood vibes.
Because I assume that both Garnet would have to be concentrating the entire time, and the induction field would have to be active the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got to very precisely plan when the enemy are going to get there, that we have this thing active and it's ready to be finished. Otherwise, we're going to be trying to maintain concentration for, I believe, 4 days.
I mean, we can track them.
Which
We
is
got
hard.
Garnet,
divinators.
do you want to pull Lurkale off of Operation Shadow Daddy for this?
Oh, BDSM sex cult party. Yeah, I think she could do something better.
I don't.
I mean, how long does she need to get this fucking blood? Like, get pregnant already and just get it done.
She's trying to seduce the shadow of a god. It's a little bit tricky.
Like, look, if she gives Vinda the cock cage and fucks off for a while, when she comes back, this
Yeah, she
will
can
only have been an
resume.
acceleration to the plan.
Honestly,
Distance makes the
absence.
heart grow fonder. type
Yeah.
shit.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Okay, Lurkale will come here because what she's going to do is she's going to help, and Elnau is a shadow mage as much as she's a void mage. They're going to pivot to this, and they're going to research if there's a way to set up the circle in advance by modifying the spell. Here's another problem. The circle has to be drawn with black chalk, and this is the desert.
Okay, they wait for them to travel at night. We'll precisely calculate when they're.
You can't
going at
draw
night.
on sand. That's the issue.
Well, it's chalk. You
and
just
make-
like.
And make
Sprinkle
glass
it.
real easy.
Yeah, can we use
Little
like mold
salt
earth
bay?
kind of spell on like a larger scale and like make it solid there?
They're
Black value.
they're going to look into doing that. They're going to see if that's doable. In order to do that, they will need to probably anchor it somehow. So one, if the sand shifts or if there's wind during those days, that's a problem. Two, if it's bigger, they might need to have like points or pylons of some kind around the edges of it to further stabilize it. They will work on that part. What we have to figure out is feasibly how big can you make this? Let's figure out our participants. Hold on. I'm going to take us to the shadow room real quick.
So I have darkness spells too to like try and mask things, but because we could always leave it at the entrance of that capital and hide around, make it look like they can just walk through the front door and then psych.
Mirage
Actually, my chakra.
Arcana.
I have another high magic math question once you're done with that.
No, go ahead.
When an induction field is a certain level for a spell, can a spell slot higher than the level of the induction field be added for a multiplicative effect? Say it's a 5th level field for Shadow Gateway, can a 9th level spell slot be added?
I don't know. Let's see. I know the seed spell, the triggering spell, is limited by the level of the field. That's the one part that I'm certain of.
I'm just wondering if a sage can contribute an enlargement spell here. Although she is dog shit arcana, if I remember
You
correctly.
can use
I know that.
magic incantations on any spell cast. Okay, it does not look like that is a limit. So if it's a 5th level field and you cast a 5th level spell, you can juice it with 9th level spell slots.
Gets us to 150 feet.
And whoop. All right.
Are there any powerful spellcasters that I forgot the name of it, the place where Ariana is at? We could borrow their help?
Irelak?
Yeah, Irelak, yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe
Let's
my future boyfriend.
throw Kotka in there. All right. Let's just see who we have that can participate in this. For some reason, I'm on Dubasiv's page.
Dubasiv is very into this.
Dubasiv is not available at this time.
Bruh.
Damn.
All right. He's busy being Gubasiv.
Damn.
I need to put Red Knop in the dead folder as well.
Womp womp.
Hashtag dead knop.
Dead Knop, yep. Okay, so Elnau, the Sage, Mia Hethil.
Yep.
If, well, he's technically on Darude, not. The thing with Mia Hethil is if a Lozrin comes out of hiding, what will Mia Hethil do?
Blow up his desk again.
He just had that replaced. We can't let that happen.
I feel like there not easy ways for him to just shapeshift or disguise self.
Mm-hmm.
Put a little mustache on.
Yeah, he can just give him somebody throw a hat of disguise on him.
We have
we
those.
need to give a Lozarin bangs. Everything sorted.
He puts his glasses on and nobody recognizes him.
Do we know if Mia Hethel walks around with like, you know, some gem of true seeing or something like that? Like,
There are a lot of those lying around. I don't know if you've seen him with one or not.
It's got a monocle of true seeing.
yeah. He's like, that's a Lozarin. That's not.
Okay, the odds of him attending those lectures are quite low.
True.
Because if you were to like write a book and then like distribute the book instead, I feel like that would take way longer.
It would. No, it needs to be a lecture. It's just a question of how can you protect his identity.
Yeah.
All right, so for this initial thing, we are not bringing out any of the other student characters. We can do Sentisco, but we're not going to send like the Kiz John and Fuckum and any of those other people into the field like this. If it comes to home defense, yes. Let me get Sven.
We have our Divinator as well.
Who I don't have a token for, but she'd be here too. So the question is, who has the highest Arcana modifier? There's a non-zero chance it's Garnet.
Yeah.
Simply because I don't know if anyone else who I have stats on has expertise in Arcana. Expertise is not a common feature for casters.
What's that Dawn student with the nerd that we hate? Cryas. What about him?
Let's
Surely
see.
he'd be a pro at Arcana.
Cryas is an intelligence spellcaster, so it would be quite high.
Oh shit, I need to level him up.
Oh, Lamau.
Cryas is lagging behind. Held back a year.
Yeah, his mod is 9. It might be higher than that. Because I haven't leveled him up because I haven't needed his stat block for a while. But yeah, we can drag him into this. So let's try this. What is a good target width for this Shadow Gateway? Assuming we can preset it, so we don't have to run around with chalk in the middle of the battlefield. Assuming we can preset it, lock it in, and remembering that every square on the battlefield is 50 feet, and your average unit is either 3 across, like this, or 2 by 3, like this. So at least 150 feet. I think 150 feet would be like the minimum you'd want to hit.
Yeah.
You need,
so 150 is enough to potentially make 2 units to 3 units disappear, because we're also talking about the same depth that we are width here. And presumably the depth is going to cease at the gates of a city and go out into the desert. Where the
well, it's 15-foot diameter. So when you make the circle, it's 15 feet across.
Yeah.
And it's on the ground. So you would need 9 spell slots, I think, to get that up to 150 feet across. Which means that that would only be a DC 24 check.
Which is very workable with support checks and Garnet's roll, for instance.
Can you drop Circle of Mental Blessings?
Yeah. 1 sec. There it is.
All right.
So how big do we need to make the circle of mental blessings? If you do that first, right?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It wouldn't need to be that big. It's a radius of 5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to get all these people, this room is only like 30 feet across.
So you need a 15-foot radius.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not too bad, right?
Yeah, that would just be 3 spell slots. So that's the first thing you do. You create the circle of mental blessings, juice it up a little tiny bit, and that's a level 1 spell. So the start DC is 11. So super easy. Juice that. So Garnet, let's start out by assuming that you have +5 to this roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you could get easily with +5 on your roll? Your modifier is what, 11?
Yeah.
So like 26.
Yeah.
If you roll a 10.
That would be distinctly mid for Garnet, 26.
Yeah. And that's without anybody else using the support buff on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And each of these people can use the support buff. But they can't use the support. They might be able to. The casting time on the shadow spell is still 10 rounds. And the longer the casting time, the more people can like poke your spell. Because as long as you're casting it, they can juice it up. I think you could get easily double this. I think you could get 300 feet across. That's a DC 30.
Since support is an action and presumably not limited on a per spell basis, just on a per round basis, like there's a world where you could easily add like +20 to each roll, not counting proficiencies.
Okay, so support has to be the last thing you do because you only get the bonus the round it's used. So you can't like stack it up for all 10 rounds. You need a mix of people fucking with the spell.
Mm-hmm. Each stage of fuckery, they do their own Arcana check, right? And each of those can have a support added to it.
Yeah. So everyone's just sort of supporting each other, or buffing it.
Yeah, like everyone gets their turn with a talking stick, and everyone says like, "Hello, Athalor. Welcome to Arcanist Anonymous. Here's our support."
And the circle, the shadow spell, concentration up to 1 minute. What would 600 take?
Well, that would be times 40, I believe. Or 39 spell slots added.
Yeah, it'd be 39 spell slots, which means it would be a DC 15 plus 39, DC 54.
Okay.
That's not out of the range of possibility.
I mean, if that's for last check, that happens. And Garnet's got Circle of Mental Blessings. At least +10 from support from Mantra and I.
And everyone has to, like, on the last turn, everyone has to just use support, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, chat, we are in Pathfinder number territory. Okay, so 39 spell slots.
Uh-huh.
Garnet, your spell slots are level 5, right?
Level 4.
Level 4. Okay. So if Lurkalay casts the Shadow Gateway and you do the buffing, and these other people share their spell slots with you, which is a thing they can do in high magic, then you can just spam every single round, like just +4, +4, +4, +4, +4. And if they all focus that into you, I think it would work.
Like we have 100 rounds of potential buffing in a casting time of 10 minutes.
Oh, sorry. That's right. It's 10 minutes. It's not 1 minute. Shit.
But the DC might become prohibitively high after 39 spell slots.
But then you could sort of gauge it, right? You could be like,
I'd win.
I could take him in a high magic field, right?
What are the chances that Lurkale could cast this from the Shadow Realm? Because it mirrors the reality, so we don't have to worry about the chalk. Maybe time passes differently in the Shadow Realm. I don't know.
You would all have to be in the Shadow Realm that entire time for that to work.
Oh,
In order to
Well-
buffer, you'd all have to be in the Shadow Realm.
that's not that bad. If the chalk thing is a problemo.
There's solutions to it. Get a bunch of like ground up black stones or something and put them around.
Oh, okay.
Couple walls of fire, just turn that entire pathway to glass.
Hold up. That's viable. The Academy has a realm magic wall of fire that surrounds an entire settlement. They could use that non-offensively to just create the black circle instead.
Oh shit, yeah, I see what you mean. But wouldn't that grab everyone inside the city?
They'd have to fuck with it. They wouldn't put it on the city. They'd put it outside instead.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Untermaler would have to remove himself from this equation. Either Untermaler or Elna would have to oversee that in order for that to work. And that would only work in the material world. It would not work in the Shadow Realm.
And then that requires what, Lurkale and Garnet leading a... We're going to fuck with this black circle and turn it into a shadow gateway.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is 10 minutes of combat is 10 rounds of battle, of warfare. And in that time, the battlefield can shift significantly. Which could mean that friendlies get caught in the area of effect or enemies move out of it, things like that.
As far as the idea goes at the moment, it seems like we're hoping for this to happen in the first 6 seconds of combat.
So you'd start it before battle is joined?
I'd assume so. Otherwise, there's a lot of very squishy mages who might get their shit beaten in while going, "Go Garnet! Good roll."
Oh yeah.
So there is another incantation that reduces the casting time.
Huh?
The Quicken incantation. You cut it in half per level of the spell slot expended. So if somebody burns a level 1 spell slot, now it takes 5 minutes. Level 2, 2.5 minutes.
1 second.
One action is the minimum.
Oh, well, that's 6 seconds. I'll take it.
Like that's still, if you can get it down to a minute, that's 1 round of warfare. And that's enough time to give you like a good tactical aiming of it. It will require more spell power, and it will
limit the size.
It'll make it more.
The size of a wall of fire.
It'll make it more complicated. It'll make it harder to cast, and it'll give you less time to build it up. I just pressed the wrong button. 1 sec. But that is something you could adjudicate in the field. You could make that decision in the field. You could be like, shit, we need this to go faster. Okay, somebody add a quicken to this. Because of that, do we want to grow more? Yeah, we want to grow more. Like, you'll be able to balance all this stuff during the casting of it.
One more technical note about this spell.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't appear to have a saving throw.
Correct.
Is the mechanic of Shadow Gateway that any creature, willing or unwilling, when the circle is completed, just says...
Mm-hmm. Because it's not meant, it takes 10 minutes to cast. It's not meant to be an offensive spell. It's meant to, you create a portal. And if you create a portal and then you knock someone into the portal, they go. Like, gate doesn't allow a save. If you open a gate, you can just shove people. As long as you can shove people, they don't get a save against the gate. They only get a save against whatever shoves
We
them.
don't need to worry at all about them making saves.
Correct.
Apart from just avoiding it when it comes in.
Correct.
And it's active for what, a minute afterwards?
Concentration. Meaning, if you want to, you could seal it immediately.
Oh, can we climb back out while it's active?
Possible. Tactically, the best thing to do would probably be to open it and then just stop concentrating and immediately shut it. Just get maximum value out of it that way.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better idea than trying to crush everyone else into it as well. That required too much high-level fuckery that we wouldn't have time for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no save to it. I like it.
Are we good with this plan? Does this sound like a good plan to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do that next week. We are not doing that tonight. Oh, we're going to do that Wednesday, not next week. We're going to do that Wednesday. So you have 4 days remaining. I do have some other stuff queued up for that time. But a lot of that time is going to be spent researching and preparing for this. Lerkele is going to be the one who's doing the casting, but she's not casting it with a black circle. She's going to be working with Untermaler. Like, they have a lot of arcane math that they have to do right now that they're all working on. I don't think that you guys have any special prep you have to do. You just need to do the spells. Yeah.
We have to learn the appropriate incantations, right?
Yeah.
We need to expand and we need quicken.
Mm-hmm.
What do I have? Because we all have some, right?
You all have some,
have-
yes.
Yeah.
Mine
Oh,
won't be relevant because there's
extend.
no saving throw.
Sorry, which
Yours
ones do you
extend
have?
relating to...
I have extend, which won't be
Okay.
relevant.
I have
think it's-
quicken.
Mm-hmm.
And I have heighten/lesson, which won't be relevant. So Garnet and I at least need to research expand
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
/ quicken.
There is another element to this. I think it only takes a week to acquire a new incantation.
Cramming time, baby.
Yeah. So you're not going to be able to, with 4 days, best case scenario, you're
Stay up all night.
You're cramming for to learn one of these. Garnet, you actually don't have to do anything because you don't sleep anymore.
Yeah.
So you can just acquire one without, if you cram, you could acquire 2.
Hell yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
Mason and Athalor, if you have to learn one, you have to like no life it for the next few days.
Okay. Are there specific other ones that we should have? Like, if I have quicken, like, am I just like cool to contribute that, or should I learn more?
I'll drop the table in our backstage chat real quick, just so that you can see it.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can pull it up for chat as well. All right. So this is all of the incantations, and they have a brief description of their effect. A thing to note, if you fail a spellcraft roll, you do not just fail to contribute.
Oh.
This is
You grief
unstable.
it.
This is unstable magic, right? This is not